Buying commercial property feels like the finish line. In reality, it's the starting line. You negotiated the purchase price, your financing was approved, the conditions were satisfied, and the deal closed. Then, the first invoices start arriving, and that's when many buyers discover the purchase price was only one part of the investment. There are costs before closing, costs on closing day, and costs that continue long after you've taken possession. None of these costs are hidden, and most are entirely predictable. The problem occurs when many buyers don't know which questions to ask until after they own the building. Whether you're buying an industrial building in Burlington, an office property in Oakville, or commercial real estate anywhere across Southern Ontario, understanding those costs before you buy can help you make a much better investment decision. I'm Susan, that commercial realtor. I work with landlords, tenants, buyers, and investors across Southern Ontario. Let's look at what buying and owning commercial property really costs. I like to think about commercial real estate costs in 3 stages: before you buy, when you close, and after you take ownership. Let's start before the offer becomes firm. This is where commercial real estate due diligence begins. Every report serves one purpose: to help you understand exactly what you're buying before it becomes your responsibility. Depending on the property, that may include an environmental assessment to identify potential contamination, a building inspection to identify issues that aren't immediately visible, roof and HVAC inspections to help estimate future capital costs, electrical reviews to confirm the building can support your operation, an appraisal for your lender, a survey if one is required, legal advice, and financing costs. Those reports aren't simply another expense. They're there to reduce uncertainty before you remove conditions. Once you're satisfied and the transaction closes, another group of costs arrive. The closing costs: land transfer tax, legal fees, title insurance, registration costs, property tax adjustments, financing adjustments, and, depending on the transaction, HST. Land transfer tax and HST are 2 of the costs I see buyers underestimate most often simply because they're focused on the purchase price. None of these should come as a surprise. Those costs are all part of buying commercial real estate. They should all be part of your budget before you remove your conditions. Then ownership begins, and this is where long-term planning becomes just as important as the purchase itself. Roofs eventually need replacement and HVAC systems wear out. Parking lots require repairs and mechanical systems need ongoing maintenance. Insurance premiums change, property taxes change. Utilities are 100% your responsibility. Older buildings may require electrical upgrades to support future operations, accessibility improvements, fire code upgrades, or deferred maintenance left behind by a previous owner. Again, none of those costs are unusual. They're simply part of owning commercial real estate. The key is understanding which of these costs are likely to arrive and when. Sometimes a property with higher purchase price becomes the less expensive building to own in the end. It'll have a newer roof, updated HVAC, modern electrical service, well-maintained mechanical systems. Those improvements often save far more than the difference in purchase price. Looking at only the asking price rarely tells you the whole story. Closing day isn't the finish line, it's where ownership starts. The buyers who come out ahead aren't the ones who got the best price, they're the ones who planned for what came next. It's easy to compare purchase prices. It's much harder to compare the true cost of ownership. That's why the most expensive surprises usually aren't the invoices, they're the questions that were never asked before conditions were removed. If you found this helpful, subscribe. Every week I share practical commercial real estate advice for business owners, investors, landlords, and tenants across Burlington, Oakville, Halton, and Southern Ontario. I'm Susan, that commercial realtor, built for business, backed by data, negotiating with bite.